Hello everybody and welcome to the Aggieville Alleycats podcast, where come rain, shine, or anything between, we're here to deliver to you the Kansas State sporting news you so love. I'm Ace Edwards, right alongside
Connor Balthazar.
And welcome to this week's weekly recap, where there is exactly one good thing that happened, but we'll start off on a positive note, and that is the day that this comes out, the Batcats will be having their debut game against Cal on MLB Network. We will almost certainly be tuning in, and we will be enjoying seeing the first in-game action, well, at least regular season in-game action of the Batcats of the year.
Yeah, and our live tweeting this year probably won't be as in-depth as it has been. Like, we'll probably just keep it to, like, when things actually happen.
Yeah.
Or, like, when things... Because I don't think we'll do the half inning by half inning. No. At least, probably not as often. But we'll try and keep up, and we'll still be tweeting during the games when things occur.
Yeah, we will be debuting quite a number of memes that we've quite enjoyed making for the new Batcats. We've already seen one. We've released one. The noted theme park enjoyer Adam Arthur.
Yep, which I think he likes it.
Yeah, he's liked it. It's a shame we almost ratioed him,
yeah.
But we can start talking about the Catsketball teams now, starting with the men's team. Unfortunately, K-State ended up falling to BYU in Provo, 72-66. In the second half, K-State actually won by 3, but it's just the deficit of 9 in the first half that, ended up making it a total 6-point game. It was another game where we didn't start as slow as we normally do on the road in that we scored, but, I can't help but feel we probably should have gotten beat worse this game because BYU was not themselves shooting. 32%, that's not bad from 3, but they're one of the best three-point shooting teams in the country, and they were missing a lot early.
Yeah, specifically the first half, they were pretty bad from 3, but that's kind of been their whole offense this year. They've lived and died by the three-point shot. And we did start out really hot right out of the gate, but we immediately cooled off after that, and we were down by double digits for a lot of the second half. We, again, made a late run, which we've seen a little bit of as of late. It seems like this team always has a run in them at some point, but they just can't ever quite finish the job. And that was another case of that in this game. We just weren't quite able to get over the hump near the end of the game, but the issue is the fact that we were even in that position in the first place.
Yeah. Anyway, do you want to take starters?
Yeah, I can take the starters here. Kaluma, he was a little bit back to his old self in this one, at least scoring. Finished 7-13 from the field, 3-5 from 3, and then converted his one free throw in 36 minutes for 18 points. And then he had 8 rebounds as well, with 2 fouls, 2 assists, 3 turnovers, and a steal. K-State updated their website, and the font is kind of difficult to read.
I would describe the font as kind of bad.
Yeah. Anywho, Cam Carter played 37 minutes, 6 of 16 from the field, but 0 of 5 from 3. Pretty bad there. Then 2 of 2 at the free throw line. He had 6 rebounds, only 2 fouls, which is pretty good for Cam. He's been fouling quite a bit, but 2 assists and 4 turnovers as well. He finished with 14. So not a very efficient day for Cam Carter. He had some tough buckets, but again, we need him to be a little bit more efficient than that. Then Tyler Perry, not his day either. He played 38, 2 of 11 from the field, 1 of 9 from 3. Made all 4 of his free throws, but still finished with only 9 points. 2 rebounds, he fouled 4 times, then had 3 assists to 3 turnovers, so not a very good day for Tyler Perry. Day-Day Ames, he started the game really hot. He scored the first 8 points of the game for K-State, and then he didn't score the rest of the game. He went 3 of 5 from the field in his 18 minutes, 2 of 3 from 3, and then added a rebound, and then he had 2 fouls as well. So pretty solid 18 from Day-Day, all things considered. And then Jarrell started again. He played 9 minutes, 0 of 2 from the field, 2 rebounds, 2 fouls, 1 assist, 3 turnovers, and a blocked shot. So not the best day for Jarrell either. Fouling a lot, those 3 turnovers really hurt. He just needs to get better at catching the ball really in the post. Once he gets the ball in his hands, he sometimes can make things happen, but right now his biggest asset is that he's generally a good defender. But fouling twice, you got to keep that down a little bit, especially in 9 minutes. But yeah, I mean, Kaluma, he had a good game. The rest of the starters, there was stuff you could nitpick with all of them.
Yeah. Then for the bench players, you have David Gasson, who played 24 minutes, 4 of 5 from the field, 1 of 1 on his free throw attempts. Good job, Dave. 7 total rebounds, 2 fouls, 2 blocks, 1 steal for 9 total points. Will McNair was the big who played over Jarrell Colbert, because it really just wasn't Colbert's night. Will McNair has been up and down, sort of frustrating, even from in the game. But he did play 27 minutes, went 3 of 5 from the field, 0 of 1 from 3, 1 of 2 from the free throw line, did get 10 rebounds, 4 fouls, 2 assists, 1 turnover, 2 blocks, and 7 total points. Excuse me. And then Dorian, 11 minutes, 0 of 1 from the field, 1 of 2 on his free throw attempts, got 3 rebounds, 1 foul, 1 assist, 2 turnovers, a block, and a single point. So, I mean, I didn't really expect to win this game, which is a shame. But we kept it close, but it's just not winning, and winning is the number one thing that we need to do right now, especially looking towards the back end of the schedule, where we do have home games up against TCU, BYU, West Virginia, and then Iowa State on Senior Day. Tang seems to believe that 9-9 is good enough a 9-9 Big 12 slate is good enough to get us into the tournament, which means that we just have to win all of our home games. I think you and I have held the position that we need to steal one on the road, and our options for that are a not great but still conscious Texas team, Cincinnati, who has been up and down but still is a really tough ask. And then, of course, we're not beating KU in Allen Fieldhouse. It's not happening. It's a tough ask towards the back end of the schedule to feel even remotely confident.
Yeah, I really don't like our matchup with Cincinnati. Funnily enough, I feel like this year's team matches up better with KU than last year's team did, which is kind of strange, but it just seems like we kind of had an answer for them, and oddly enough, we're deeper than they are, which isn't saying a lot this year, but I can't remember the last time we were even able to say that. So I still don't think we win in Allen. That's not what I'm trying to say, but yeah, I think I'm with you, though. I do think we need to steal a game on the road. That Texas game seems like our best shot at it, taking on Texas on Big Monday. That'll be a primetime game, and that's a place that we were able to get an unexpected win last year as well. Because I remember going into that game, we didn't really know what to think, and we weren't super high on the team. Then we dropped 115 points on them. And
in the christening of their new arena.
Yeah, so there's precedence for K-State winning there recently. And Jerome Tang, hopefully he has some plans locked up for us down the stretch. Because, that was a frustrating BYU loss where we weren't playing well to begin with, but it's frustrating to see us put in the effort to make the comeback, but just not be able to convert it. Our margin of error is just too small on offense, really, because we can't rely consistently on all 3 of our big 3 to show up every night. We really need at least 2 of them any given night, and when Cam and Tyler are both having inefficient shooting nights, that's going to make things really tough. Will McNair was an unsung hero offensively, but again, like you said, he's so up and down because he is honestly pretty good around the rim. He has a pretty good touch around the rim, but defensively, he is just lost sometimes. Other times, he does get some great blocks and does know where he needs to be, but it just seems like he just falls asleep sometimes. He's a wildly inconsistent player.
Yeah, it's funny considering how our takes about him whenever he signed, where he's probably going to be the defensive Pete. Nope. But Before we move on to the women's basketball team, if you are enjoying the episode, please be sure to leave a review. It helps reach out the show to other people. But now we can move into the women's Catsketball team, and just on top, one game's a win and one game's a loss. Both are frustrating for completely different reasons, and we will give our grander thoughts on this stretch towards the end. But I would like to just personally apologize for almost jinxing the Oklahoma State game for like the third or fourth time this year. Maybe the seventh time overall, because every single time I say anything about Oklahoma State, bad things seem to happen. But K-State barely, and I do mean barely, scrapes by a bad Oklahoma State team. And not only a bad team, a team that had negative depth. Like they basically played 6 people exclusively. 4 of their starting 5 went the distance in this game. And the one that didn't was Hannah Gusters, which is their post player. This was an absolutely brutal performance from the Midi Cats, especially the third quarter, where K-State ends out getting outscored 28-18, and we just looked dead on the court. We just straight up looked dead.
Yeah. I mean, this was nothing short of embarrassing, honestly. I mean, sure, I'll give some credit to Oklahoma State for doing what they did with 6 players, but I think it's pretty horrible that we came into that game as the 7th ranked team, and that was the performance that we put out against a team that there's no reason that we shouldn't have dominated them. I mean, there's absolutely zero justification for us to have not run away with that game by at least 20. So I don't really have much else to say about this game, but it was just a ton of frustration. It just a complete lack of adjustments. A lot of times we were playing like we didn't really care, and it was just bad. Just really bad. About as bad as a win can be.
Yeah. Which, now I'll cover the starters. The leading scorer was Briley Glenn, who ended up taking 23 shots, 3 of 11 from 3, 1 rebound, 2 fouls, 1 assist, 3 total steals. Briley Glenn taking that many shots and getting that many points was literally only because Oklahoma State just decided that if they were going to lose to us, they were going to lose because of Briley Glenn. And I don't want to hand wave a 23-point performance, but if, say, that person was Serena or even Jalen, we probably win this game by like 20. And it's not because Briley Glenn is bad, it's because she has the same wild inconsistency that we see from a lot of the men's team, which is, she's still an awesome defensive piece, minus a few lapses. Jalen is the better defensive player and honestly probably better offensive player, but still, the fact that she got all those points was because Oklahoma State said, okay, you figure it out. And I guess she did. I don't want to say she failed the test. I'd say she got like a C-.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. I think we'd probably feel differently if the result was different. Because there was a point in the game where she was failing the test. And It was pretty awful. Because she just kept taking shots and just kept missing over and over and over. And she kind of figured it out late, but that's a pretty bold defensive strategy and pretty embarrassing.
Yeah.
Honestly, that they just said, we're just not going to guard this person, and we're not exaggerating. They just left her open on the
stared at her.
And they just said,
shoot it.
You're not worth the effort. That's what it was. And sure, she got 23, but a very inefficient 23. No free throws either, but yeah, that was a wildly frustrating performance.
Yep. And then Serena Sundell played 36 minutes, 7 of 11 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3, 1 of 1 on her free throw attempts, 3 rebounds, 1 foul, 7 assists, 2 turnovers, 2 blocks, 2 steals, 16 points. For the first time in a while, stuffing the stat sheet from both sides. men's and women's. Gabby Gregory, 37 minutes, 4 of 10 from the field, 1 of 5 from 3. 2 of 2 on her free throw attempts, 2 rebounds, 3 fouls, 4 assists, 1 turnover, a steal, 11 total points. Jalen Glenn, 29 minutes, 1 of 3 from the field, 1 of 2 from 3, 4 rebounds, 2 fouls, 1 block, 1 steal, 3 total points. She was the one, it was either her, Serena, or Gabby that they were just opting to double pretty much every single time. And any time that we would throw the ball to any of them, that's when the double would arrive. And then Amani got her first start of the year, probably her first start of her career, if memory serves. 12 minutes, 0 of 4 from the field, 2 of 2 on her free throw attempts, 1 rebound, 1 foul, 1 turnover, 1 block, 2 total points. You look at the 0 of 4 and the only 2 total points, you say, she didn't do that much. She played really solid defense, generally. And I think that's going to be Amani's game for a while, because she's a plus defender. She just has not figured it out on offense yet. And she's a redshirt freshman who didn't play last year. So functionally, she's a true freshman, and she has a good post player to learn from in Ayoka Lee. So I'm not pressing the panic button on her, but she's not a piece that you want to focus on offense.
Yeah, she definitely does look a little bit lost offensively at times, but the potential's there. She has a good frame. She is actually a pretty good shot blocker on defense. She does get a little out of control at times on defense that can cause her to just get a little reckless and foul. She's sometimes a little too willing to get in the air because that is when you foul, but her instincts are generally good. It's just that she just needs refinement. And coming off injury, you're just going to have to deal with that sometimes. But that takes us into the bench. Ziana Walker, she led the way for the bench players. 30 minutes, 4 of 9 from the field, 0 of 2 from 3, and then 2 of 2 at the free throw line, finished with 10 points. She also added 8 rebounds, so she was actually really close to a double-double and had a foul and an assist with 2 steals. So actually a pretty good game statistically from Ziana Walker. Just wish she could have hit one of those threes, but it is what it is. Terrence Sides played 4 minutes, 2 of 2 at the free throw line, so she finished with 2 points, and she added 2 rebounds as well. So didn't play a ton, but did score. Eliza Maupin, she played 4 minutes as well, which is kind of low, honestly. But she went 1 of 2 from the field, then had just those 2 points, 1 rebound, 2 fouls, a turnover, and a steal. And then Giselle Sanchez, she played 17 minutes and really struggled. 0-6 from the field, 0-2 from 3, and added a rebound, a foul, an assist, a turnover, and a block. So kind of coming back to earth after having some genuinely really good performances offensively in these last few games. But I think that may just be part of the bargain with her, is that it's just going to be really volatile. But K-State did kind of fix their free throw problem. They went 9 of 9, which is good, but the 3-point problem still remains. 6 of 26, 23.1%. Continues to just not be good enough. There's no way around that. It just isn't enough.
Yep. And speaking of not enough, I would rather we be on the good side of an all-time classic for once. But, well, I guess we did it once in the state of Iowa already. But unfortunately, K-State ends up coming up short up against Iowa State in Ames. You can already tell that I'm a little annoyed about this game. As a good friend Aiden would say, and I have sort of co-opted, I was maybe about 5 minutes away from embracing destiny and punching a hole through a door, which Aiden actually did. So I'm not quite to embracing destiny at that point. But God, this game. So, I don't know really where to start. I don't know if I want to talk about the players first or if I want to talk about the frustrations first. I'll defer to you.
We can go and talk about the players first, because there is some good to talk about.
All right.
So we can start with the starters. Serena Sundell continues to be fantastic. We're very, very lucky to have her on this team. She was the best player on the floor, and I don't think it was close. She played 48 minutes, 7 of 12 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3, including a huge 3 in one of the overtimes, 4 of 4 at the free throw line, then had three rebounds. She did foul out in the second overtime, and we'll talk about that. And then 7 assists, 3 turnovers, a block, and a steal. She finished with 20 points. Really, 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 really good game from Serena Sundell. She hit clutch bucket after clutch bucket. The only thing that leaves me thinking more than anything is that she needs to shoot the ball more. And I think that's been our advice, and probably has been Jeff Mitty's advice the whole season, is Serena is really, really good, and she needs to be even more assertive. And she's improved that this season. She's been more assertive than she was at the beginning of the year, but she is good enough to where she can just take over a game sometimes, and we need her to do that.
Yeah, and you and I talked about it during the game. There are times that she does her right-handed drive from the corner. No, I have seen maybe that be effectively stopped 3 times because of good defense. The other times, she's just stopping. She's just giving up on it. And I think that's the most frustrating part to me, is because she has the angle, she has the shoulder where she could work past, and I've seen her do it, and she just gets hesitant to do it, and that half second of hesitation means that she has to dish the ball elsewhere. The moment that she starts embracing that drive, no one's been able to stop it so far on a consistent basis, and we saw it this game with someone who outweighs and outheights Serena Sundell probably by at least. Serena's what, 6'1"?
Yeah, I think
6 foot 6'1". Their post player Crooks, will get to it, outweighs her by significant margin, and then is 3 inches taller than her, and it didn't matter. Every time Serena Sundell wanted that basket and was confident about it, she could have it. And I just want her to do more of
Yeah, I mean, you said it best. K-State probably wins this game if Serena is a bit more assertive earlier, which there's a lot of K-State would have won this game if from this one. But Ayoka Lee does return in this one. She plays 33 minutes, which I think is more than we were expecting or wanting her to. Yeah. But she had a really rough start in this one. She was like 3 of 10 at halftime. She finishes 8 of 21, 4 of 5 at the free throw line, and 6 rebounds, 4 fouls, 1 assist, 3 turnovers. She did have 7 blocks, though, which is pretty fantastic. And she finishes with 20 points. She'd have a clutch shot at the very end of the first overtime to send it to double overtime as the clock expired. She was pretty good in this one, just wasn't quite able to do enough. She honestly did better than I was expecting. Just had a really rough start to the game and finished with a pretty inefficient scoring line for Ayoka Lee's standards, but it's good to have her back in the lineup. Briley Glenn played 34 minutes, went 4 of 6 from the field, 1 of 2 from 3, 5 of 6 at the free throw line. Finished with 14 points, had 6 rebounds, a foul, 3 assists, 1 turnover, and a steal. Gabby Gregory played 37 minutes, 4 of 8 from the field, and then 1 of 5 from 3, 4 of 5 at the free throw line, 5 rebounds, 3 fouls, 3 assists, 3 turnovers. So finished with 13 points. Just continues to be pretty inefficient from distance, but she has been surprisingly strong at the basket, kind of like we saw at the tail end of last year, where we just really needed something to work on offense, and we just turned her into a point forward. But if she can find that again, that'd be great, because the three-point shot's just not really falling for her this year. Jalen Glenn is the last starter. Played 34 minutes, 3 of 10 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3, finished with 7 points, 7 rebounds as well. She did foul out and added an assist and 3 steals. So not her best game, but she still brought some value to the team.
Yep. Now getting into the bench players before we go off. Gisela Sanchez played 19 minutes, 4 of 10 from the field. I think 3 of those were towards the back end of the game when they weren't even guarding the 2-point line, so take that for what you will. No, not 3 of them. 2 of them were. She was 2 of 4 on her 3-point attempts, got 4 rebounds, or 6 rebounds, including 4 offensive, 2 fouls, 2 assists, 1 steal, 10 total points, so inefficient, but fine. Terrence Sides, 14 minutes, 2 of 4 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3. It was a really impressive step back 3 as well. 4 fouls, 2 assists, 3 turnovers, 5 total points. Zy Walker, 23 minutes, 2 of 6 from the field, 0 of 3 from 3. 4 rebounds, a foul, a turnover, a block, 4 total points. Then Heavenly Greer and Eliza Maupin both played 4 minutes. Didn't get any points. Greer got 2 fouls and a steal, and Eliza did not record any stats. So, now it's time to talk about it. This game drove me insane watching it. Before people say Hilton Magic is real, it's not. It's just for some reason they get the Allen Fieldhouse Devil Magic, where they just spawn calls out of nowhere and then delete calls from the other team. And I know it is top tier loser behavior to complain about the referees after a loss. I would have complained about them if we won. Because the way that overtime was officiated was, I'm not even going to say bordering on unacceptable. It was unacceptable. The most poignant example that comes to my mind is Crooks on what should have been her 5th foul, literally hip thrusts Gabby Gregory. Gabby goes flying, but somehow manages to not step out of bounds. And yet it is ruled not only that Crooks didn't foul after Gabby Gregory just got launched to Sedan, it is ruled that Gabby stepped out of bounds and it gave Iowa State a key possession. And it wasn't just that. And most of my ire relies on Crooks. Let me say this right away. Crooks is a good player. She's a true freshman, and she's going to be really, really damn annoying to play for the next few years. She's going to be really, really annoying. She fouled way more often than she was called for, and she still had 4 fouls. She was constantly hacking Yoki, and it just wasn't called. And I don't want to say in reverse, every time Yoki touched her, it was a foul. That's not too far from the case, but Yoki was fouling her. That comes with the fact that she blocked her shot 6 times. But just those are the key ones that come to my mind. I'm sure you can think of others, like the 4 phantom fouls on Jalen, the non-call for Iowa State touching the ball last on the last possession.
Yeah, the broadcast angles on that were pretty bad, and they had one angle that was really good, but they only showed it. But they only showed the first time, and they just pretended it didn't exist. And based on the one time I was able to see it, it seemed like it was maybe a closer than they made it seem. But I really thought that it was off of I think it was Ryan. But,
yeah, it was Emily Ryan.
Yeah, and but Iowa State also just caught fire from deep as well. I mean, they shot almost 50% from 3. They made 31 of their 36 free throws, which is absolutely nuts. They shot 10 free throws in the second overtime, which granted a lot of those were when we were starting to foul, but I mean, it was pretty bad as far as officiating goes. I mean, it may have been worse than the men's game in Hilton. Man,
that's tough, but I might agree.
Like, I think it was maybe consistently worse because it was consistently really bad, and it felt very uneven. It felt more uneven than usual, and I do like that you point out that Crooks was good because, like, us saying that she fouled more than she was called for does not mean that she wasn't good. She really, what impressed me most about her was the fact that Ayoka Lee blocked her 6 times and she kept going. And most true freshmen would crumble in that situation, but she did not. And that was pretty impressive. But I remain really frustrated with this game because to me, it really feels like we should have won this game. We had plenty of opportunities to do so on our own. It felt like it was taken out of our hands a lot of times. Because, I mean, I don't like blaming the officials, but I guess that's what I'm doing. But it's we should have been able to handle this game on our own. We should have been able to beat Iowa State on our own merits without having to argue about whether the officials were right or wrong. But independent of us winning or losing, the officials were pretty awful in this one. The commentators were also horrific.
Oh my!
It was bad in a different way than the Fox Sports 1 commentators for the Texas game and Baylor game were, because those people were
homers.
Yeah, they were homers, and they clearly just didn't want K-State to win. This game, they were just dumb. Like they
were just stupid.
They just kind of weren't paying attention. It seemed like they didn't ever know what was happening on the court. It was pretty bad, but I get that every school has different capabilities, but made me really appreciate the K-State HD crew. Yet again, every time we watch an away ESPN Plus broadcast, I'm like, wow, it could be so much worse.
Yeah.
Because our broadcast is genuinely network quality.
Brian remains undefeated.
Brian Spoler remains undefeated. That much is true. And all of the student workers and DCM employees that work for K-State HD are just so good. And I do have to thank Iowa State for being so bad at broadcasting that it makes me often think of camera people. But this was just such a frustrating loss that we should have never allowed to get to the point that it did. And there's so many, if this had been slightly different, then we win this game, which I do agree, which ultimately at the end of the day, Iowa State just did not miss free throws late in the game. They, from pretty much the fourth quarter on, were borderline perfect. The second overtime, they were 10-10. They made their last 14 at least, maybe more. This was such a avoidable, ugly, frustrating loss, and some of it can be put on just Iowa State getting it at the right time. Some of it can be put on the refs for just genuinely doing a really bad job. And a lot of it can be put on ourselves for being in that position in the first place, for Coach Minnie for not adjusting enough soon enough, which has kind of been an issue the last couple of games. It feels like right now teams have our defense figured out, because even with Lee back in the lineup tonight, we were not doing what we needed to do.
Yeah. And there are a few things that I want to point out. Firstly, I know she's coming off of injury, but even a normal Yoki performance, or even like a little less than a normal Yoki performance, and we probably win this game. And I don't want to pin it all on her, because it's not all on her. There's someone who went 3 of 10 and 1 of 5 from 3 this game, and refuses to stop shooting those. But the one backbreaking part of it is Yoki's normally automatic at the free throw line. And if she just hits one of her free throw, if she doesn't miss the one free throw, we win the game in regulation. That hurts a lot.
Yep.
But I sort of giving up the grander thoughts. The back end of our schedule it's pretty easy relative to everything else that we've had to go through. UCF, West Virginia, both at home, and then at Lawrence versus Iowa State in the return game, and then at Lubbock. Unfortunately, I think we're probably out of the race for regular season Big 12 title contention unless Oklahoma loses twice, which is possible because they still have West Virginia and Texas again on their schedule, and West Virginia's an away game. But Oklahoma and K-State have followed the opposite trajectories right now. Oklahoma is getting insanely hot. K-State is getting really, really cold at the wrong time. And this was something that you and I were very, very scared about at the beginning of the year. We thought that as much as we loved this team, I'm not sure if you did. I know I did. I expressed concerns about peaking too early and wondering when we were going to have to pay the piper. Yeah, we've had to pay the piper these last few games because we've been ice cold, and some of it looks there are times where it looks genuinely like buy-in. There are times like the Oklahoma State game where we just don't look like we care all that much, and we can't have that. It was released today that K-State would be the 13th overall seed, which is good. Like, don't misunderstand. That is still exceptional. Being a 13th overall seed in the NCAA tournament, that's great. Don't put us in the same bracket as Iowa, because right now we're in the same bracket as Iowa. But this team should be so much more, and it's a mixture of coaching, effort, and just some bad luck. And we said that this team will get as far. This team has all the talent in the world. It's the limiting factor would be coaching. And I don't want to like have a firing squad on Jeff Mittie or anything, but there are a few times where you have to think like, dude, come on, make the adjustment, or dude, sub out someone else. Like, stop committing to one player. I'll leave it up to you who I'm talking about, but the amount of times that we kind of leave it up to one player who is not performed up to expectation is getting exceedingly frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, that's historically been accurate as well. We've known in the past that late in the season, teams kind of figure out K-State's game, and we just don't have a counterpunch. And that's happened the last several seasons now, where we just lose steam. I was really hoping this year would be the exception. This Iowa State game has given me a lot of pause on that, and that's not to say it's impossible that we come up with some adjustments late in the year, but it feels like a lot of teams are hitting their stride right now, and it really feels like we're getting left behind right now.
Yeah, because we're getting cold at the exact wrong time. Like, and granted, I guess not the exact wrong time, because we're still a tournament lock, and we really, really don't want to be cold in the opening rounds of the tournament. But still, we went from 2 weeks ago, I believed we could beat any team in the country except for South Carolina. We would just have to get lucky in the tournament and hope someone catches them on a bad day. I believe that we could beat anyone in the country. And the talent on the roster still tells me that we can. But it's just the last few games have made it difficult to stand by that assertion. Unless we finish the back end of the year really hot against all right competition, West Virginia and Iowa State are both good. UCF, KU, and Texas Tech. This is, if you're going to pick a collection of games to get right and get hot, this is where you pick. So I'm not saying, the season's over, burn it all down, Jeff Mittie's a hack, he's wasted the talent on this team, and the team doesn't care anymore. I'm not saying that, because that's what an idiot would say. And I'm only stupid sometimes. But, we need to use these last few games to just do what we can. I've sort of written off Big 12 regular season title hopes, which I think that's why this game hurts me so much, because it forced us into a three-way tie for second. And we have to rely on Oklahoma losing twice or three times. Twice if we want to split the title. 3 times if we want to win outright. But right now we just need to focus on ourselves, get right, get ready for both the Big 12 and NCAA tournaments.
Yep, I have nothing to add to that.
Any final thoughts?
I really hope the Cats don't do this to us.
Oh, God. Yeah, on that note, thank you all for listening to this episode of the Aggieville Alleycats podcast. If you want to follow or contact the show, you can follow us just about anywhere at Aggieville Alleycats. And if you want to email us, we're AggievilleAlleycats@gmail.com. If you want to follow us on a more personal note, I'm at ACEdward00.
I'm at Connor Bouncesor, capital C, capital B.
And if you want to support the show financially, please be sure to check out both the supporters link and the official Aggieville Alleycats merch store, both linked in our Twitter and podcast bios. But most importantly, thank you all for listening to this episode of the Aggieville Alleycats podcast. Where come rain, shine, or anything in between, we're here to deliver to you the Kansas State sporting news that you so love. Stay safe, Alleycats.